Okay, so you were already supposed to have completed Pat's Plumbing. And what you're supposed to do is, as you look at the problem, it says Pat's Plumbing Company charges a travel fee for every house call, plus an hourly rate for the time required to complete the job. The table below shows the relationship between H, the number of hours of labor, and C, the total cost of Pat's plumbing services. So they gave you what was in the black, and your blank paper, your paper had blanks where the red is. What you should have seen when you were going through and finding your rate of change, you should have seen that the Y's, the total cost was going up by 25 for every hour. So then you could have completed your table by increasing it by 25 each time. That's what you should have done before we started. Then from here, you would have gone and graphed your line. So right here, you could have gone through and done your points, 1 and 75, 1 and 75 and put a dot, 2 and 100, over 2 and up and 100, 3 and 125, over 3 and up 125. If you wanted to find your starting point, you would have gone back to 0. As you went back 1, you would have gone back 25 right here, and that would have given you a starting amount of 50, which would have been at 0.50. And then you should have drawn your line. So right now, that should be on your paper that says Pat's Plumbing. Okay, so as we go through this, the next thing on your paper talks about describe the process you use to determine your missing values. Well, we went and saw that as my Y's increased by 25, my X's increased by 1, and so we went through and filled in my table. So a possible response is that I used the first 2 rows to determine that the rate of change was $25 an hour, then I added $25 for each additional hour to complete the total cost. Not that big a deal, just it's saying that they want you to recognize that you're increasing by 25. The next question on that paper talks about what is the hourly rate. I want you to circle where it says hourly rate. You need to know that the hourly rate, whenever you're talking about rate, that's the rate of change. We should know that the rate of change is the slope. Well, I know my rate of change, delta y over delta x, I'm going up 25. Y is up 25, and I'm going over 1. That's where my 25 comes from. The next question that it talked about was, what was the travel fee? Whenever there is only a one-time fee, that is always your y-intercept. That's your constant. That's what I did the y-intercept when I worked backwards and I found 0 and some number, which in this case was 0 and 50. That's how I found that 50 must have been the travel fee. That was that one-time charge. Once you know your slope and your y-intercept, you should be able to write your equation. And that's where we came up with y equals 25x plus 50. This is all the prior stuff before we're starting our assignment now that we're getting ready to start. Okay, so now the paper that we have for today. Let's go here, flipping around. There we go. All right, let's look at the first situation. I want you to notice that right here, it has the original in that little box right there. C equals 25H plus 50. So for today's lesson, except for the graphing, we can look at this and we can fill in this information. All right, in red, it says Pat's Plumbing Company decided to increase their hourly rate by 20% and to keep the travel fee the same. You need to remember that this right here, the 25, is the hourly rate. This 50 is the travel fee. So if I'm increasing my hourly rate, I'm increasing my $25 by 20%. So I'm going to take 25 times 20%. But when I multiply by a percent, you can't just put it in there times 20. You have to remember that there's a decimal here and you have to move it 2 places to the left. So I'm going to multiply it by 0.20. 20% of $25, when we multiply it, that equals 5. That's how much it changed. So it says that it increased the hourly rate by 20%, which is 5. So I'm increasing that 25 by 5. My new equation becomes C equals 30H plus 50. Now, we need to take this equation and we need to go back and we need to graph it on the line on that paper where we have the original equation. So I'm going to go backwards. And I've got C equals 30H plus 50. So now we're going to go through and graph it. I'm going to start with my y-intercept. I'm going to start at 50. My slope is 30, which is 30 over 1. That's telling me to go up 30 and to the right 1. So I'm going to go up. Each line is worth 25. So I'll go a little bit up past 25 and over 1. Now, you can also make a table if you want to. 0 and 50, 1 and 80, 2 and 110, and you can graph these points by ordered pairs. But I'm going to keep going with my slope. I'm going to go up 30 and over 1. Let's see, up 30 and over 1. Up 30 and over 1. And I'm going to try and very carefully draw my line here. Ugh. Okay, let's see if I can get the line thingy here. All right. There we go. That'll help me when it's supposed to be in red here. Okay, this is my red one. So looking at this line right here that I just went up there and graphed, the questions they ask me is my slope the same, steeper, or less steep? Well, yeah, first off, is it the same? Are these two numbers the same? No. This number is larger, so that means it's steeper. It's steeper because my hourly rate increased. Hourly rate increased. Now, the y-intercept, what about the y-intercept right here? They're the same numbers. Why are they the same? Because we kept this the travel fee stayed the same. Travel fee stayed the same. Now, on the back of your papers, I want you to write these notes. That's going to help us. Let me get my little graph. Oh, let go of it. There we go. All right, let's see. Here's my original lines. If I have a line, this blue line, the closer this line, the new line is to the y-axis, the steeper the line. So the closer a line is to the y-axis, the steeper the line. Also, the larger the slope, and I'm talking about the number, the larger the number, the steeper the line. The farther away from 0 it is. What I'm saying is that if we had negative 30 and positive 30, those are the same steepness. You're talking about the distance away from 0. The positive, we talked about this on Friday, the positive and the negative only tell me direction. You're only looking at the number when you're talking about the slope. Now, on the flip side of that, the closer the line is to the x-axis, whoops, the closer a line is to the x-axis, oh my goodness gracious, here we go. The flatter, or we can say less steep, a line is. In this case, the closer, well, let's see, the smaller the slope, the flatter the line. See, for example, let's see here. For example, anything when it's, especially when it's a fraction close to 1, or not 1, close to 0. See, a slope of a horizontal line is 0, remember? So the closer that a slope is to 0, for example, 1/2, 2/3, -1/4, the flatter the line. You can help remember that fraction starts with F, flat starts with F. All right, these are just some notes to try and help you remembering the steepness of a line. So going back to this next one, this time it says Pat's Plumbing Company decided to decrease their hourly rate by 20%. Okay, so decrease, what color we have? Blue? Decrease means I'm going to go down, and it's 20%. We already found that to be 5. So this time I'm going to have C equals, instead of 25, it's going to go down to 20 times the hours, and the travel fee stays the same, so plus 50. Now we're going to go back and graph this one. On the same graph, oh, let me see. Let me erase some of this. So I have C equals 25H plus 50. I start at 50 again. This time it's 25 over 1. That means up 25 to the right 1. Now each one of these lines is 25. Did I do that right? Nope. What's it supposed? It's not supposed to be 25. What did I say it was? 20. There we go. Because we decreased it by $5, so it should be 20. There, that makes more sense. 20 over 1 to go up 20 to the right 1. So I'm starting here, and I'm almost to 25. Whoops, I didn't mean to make a dot. And over 1. Almost to 25 and over 1. Almost up 25 and over 1. I'm just a little bit lower than that black line. So when I go to draw my line, I just need to be a little bit lower. Now, what about my y-intercepts? Did I change my y-intercepts? No, they stayed the same, right? They stayed 50. What about my slope? My line is closer to the x-axis, so is it steeper or flatter? It is flatter. Okay, so let's go back to our little grid. Right here, my slope is less steep. Why? Because we decreased the hourly rate. And my travel fee stayed the same, so that means my slope stayed the same. The next one we have, we're doing in green. And this time it says Pat's Plumbing Company decided to increase the travel fees by 25 and to keep the hourly rate the same. Okay, so the hourly rate stays at 25. It says we're going to increase the travel fee. So I'm going to increase this 50 by 25. So I'm going to increase it to 75. So now let's go back to our graph again. This time, I have C equals 25H plus 75. So I'm going to start now at 75, and I'm going to go up 25 and over 1, up 25 and over 1, up 25 over 1. And then I can draw my line. Let me fix my red. There we go. So now, this one, I'm comparing my green one to this, to the original. How did the green one change to the original? Did the steepness change? My slope deals with the steepness. Did these numbers change? No, they did not. They are the same steepness. These two lines are parallel lines. What did change was my y-intercept. Did it increase or decrease? My y-intercept started at 50 and it went up to 75. So all it did was shift my line. It took that original line, kept the same steepness, and shifted it up 25 units. The steepness never changed. All right, so right here, the steepness stayed the same because the hourly rate stayed the same. The y-intercept is greater because they increased the travel fee. The next one they talked about doing, they want it in purple. I don't have a purple on my magic board, so I'll just use black right now. It says Pat's Plumbing Company decided to decrease the travel fee by $25. But the hourly fee is going to stay the same. So again, my 25H stays the same. The travel fee decreases by 25. So 50, it decreases by 25, so it goes down to 25. So now we need to go back and graph that one. We've got y equals 25x plus 25. So we're going to start down here at 25 and go up 25 and over 1. And then I can draw my line. Compared to the original function, the original equation, the only thing I changed was the y-intercept, meaning that I took that original one and shifted it down 25 units. I did not change the steepness. I only changed the starting amount. So right here, the slope stayed the same. Oh, I didn't mean to do that little line. Because the hourly rate is the same. And this time the y-intercept is less than because we decreased the travel fee. Take a minute and try and do this last one and answer these two questions at the bottom. So on this last one that you're supposed to have in orange, it says this time that they want to increase the hourly rate by 20%. So increase, we did that over here in the red one. So it's going to become C equals 30 H, and then decrease the travel fee. So instead of 50, it's going to go down to 25. Well, now this time we made our line steeper. Why? Because the hourly rate increased. And my y-intercept is less than the original because we decreased the travel fee. Then you should have that line graphed with the other ones. It should look, some people got confused because it should look something like this, and make sure you have your lines labeled so that I can find out which ones they are. Okay, so you should have all of them labeled there. Now, down at the bottom, it asked you, which values from the situation affected the slope? That was the hourly rate. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Anytime you see rate of change, that's going to change your steepness. Which values affect the y-intercept? That was the travel fee. That is your y-intercept. That's your initial, the initial amount, a one-time fee. Maybe we'll call, let's see, initial fee. That just changes the y-intercept. That just shifts my line up and down. Okay, that's what it does to it. Trying to see, oh, nope, okay, let me go back. All right, let me leave it here for you. Oh, golly. There we go.